What makes a fight scene good? Is it the flashy moves, the fancy camera work, amazing editing, or the story that it tells and progresses? Or is it a combination of these? Personally, I believe there's a difference between a cool fight scene and a memorable one. While moves, camera work, and editing can definitely make it look and sound cool, what makes it memorable is the story it tells and the larger theme that it is attached to. And of course, the chemistry between the people attached to the process. Hi, I'm Saurabh. I've been practicing martial arts for over 5 years, and together with my team, we bring you Lights, Camera, Action, which is a brief but comprehensive look at the art of creating fight scenes that don't just look good but are also memorable. All at a very negligible budget, even if you're a beginner. Working in action choreography has been a lifelong dream for me, but my own fears have held me back from doing so, and I've been quite reluctant in getting into it. But over the past 3 years, the Release the Snyder Cut movement, as well as Zack Snyder's work itself, has actually given me inspiration to get out of my comfort zone and get into this field. And using this inspiration, about 2 months back, I started on this journey of action filmmaking. In this workshop, we'll teach you all the various processes and steps that are involved in creating your fight concepts, your themes, as well as your fight choreography. We do this by giving you a behind-the-scenes look at the first few minutes of our upcoming short film. By the end of the workshop, we're going to give you a look at the pre-visualization of these first few minutes, which will help you understand how these things come together. Sprinkled throughout the workshop are also different exercises which will benefit you on a personal level, be it to relieve stress, remove fears, or even build your creativity. A quick disclaimer before we begin. This workshop is for entertainment and education purposes. We are trained professionals and we have been doing this for a very long time. Please practice safety of all kinds and use common sense when you're doing physical activities of this intensity. You may be eager to design a fight scene first and then have a story around it, as most beginners do. Because oftentimes when you get into such a field, the cool factor is what we go for first. But this is how you end up with using some of the most overused storylines. You may get cool fight scenes doing it this way, but your story would most likely lack creativity and your themes won't be deep enough. If instead you create your concept first and work on the script beforehand, then when you start to integrate the fight scenes into it and add them into the various chunks of the script, what's going to happen is your fight is going to add to the themes, it's going to add to the script, and it's going to make sure that it takes it further. Take John Wick for example, or even the scenes from Batman v Superman, especially the warehouse fight scene. In John Wick, though the fights are flashy, we know what the characters are capable of, and we know the kind of anger that the main protagonist is working with. And so it makes it believable, it makes it entertaining, and it makes it memorable as well. Batman v Superman, you can feel the desperation and you can feel the brutality and anger of Batman in the warehouse fight scene, and you believe he is actually a man on a mission in that particular fight scene. The stage of conceptualization is where you dive deep into that beautiful mind of yours and you're going to pull out amazing crazy ideas from it. It doesn't matter how crazy you think they are, it doesn't matter how realistic they might be, the sky is the limit. Do not, I repeat, do not hold back your creativity, do not hold back your ideas just because you think you lack the resources, the skills, or the manpower to do so. This is a stage which is completely built on the kind of creativity that you can pull out from your mind. The most important thing is that the concept you come up with has to sing to your heart, because if that doesn't happen, then it doesn't matter how unique your story is, it doesn't matter what kind of amazing technicalities you add to your fight scene, you add to your short film, you add to whatever project you're working on, it's gonna fall flat. But when it sings to your heart, then the most generic concept that you can come up with, the most overused storylines that you can come up with will still have a very unique flavor that will have you in it. And of course, don't be afraid of evolving your ideas, evolving your script through and through, all the way even into your filming process.
Being martial artists, we decided to create a short fight showcase about shadow fighting. Visualizing your opponent for your practice and fighting it. This is a great practice to get over many physical and mental stresses and can teach you a lot about how your own body and mind works. As we sat on it and let the concept evolve, our story started to develop, and before we knew it, our concept, which was supposed to be of a 3-minute short video, turned into a 15-minute short film, diving deep into the psyche of our protagonist. That's me. We also pulled inspiration from and paid homage to Sucker Punch, one of our favorite movies, in our own way with this concept, where we show a traumatized and frustrated ex-martial artist gain back her power and freedom by facing her inner demons. And as we decided more to script, we realized how deep this concept could go, and we decided to design our fights, choreography, camera work, angles, and even editing based on all the hidden themes within these concepts. The way my opponents pop and how they fight and how I react and what I learn, all have been turned into how this film is being made. We created 3 major fight segments, and each represented me coming face to face with an inner fear in the form of an opponent. Each opponent fights according to what fear means and how it makes me feel. The fear of losing my voice and not being respected manifests into an opponent that overwhelms me through strikes and punches. This in turn makes me angry and desperate to strike back hard and makes me careless, which can be used against me. Sounds familiar to how such events play out in reality? How I pull my lessons from my past and use them in shadow fighting to overcome these manifestation forms the rest of the short film. And majority of these we show not through dialogues and verbal interactions, but by framing body language, fights and expression.
The next sections go hand in hand. Once the concept and the story was finalized, we moved on to creating the flow of the fight segments. Not the moves, just the flow. The moves come later. To make it simple to design fight scenes and not come to the point of pulling your hair, here's a tip. Start by creating a timeline. The starting point, the ending point. Decide on a baseline which is going to set the intensity and the pacing of your fight, whatever that might be. And of course, that is going to depend on what the theme of the fight is, what the concept is, and what the character's capabilities are within your story. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to list down the flashiest moves that you want to do. Let's say, for example, you want to do a Superman punch. Or maybe you want to do a one leg takedown or a single leg takedown. You put them at specific timelines in your story. These points are of course going to be between the baseline or the base speed. The base speed, of course, in this case for our fight scene is the normal kicks and punches that the fighters are doing. Now, of course, this is not the end of it, okay? Secondly, what you're going to do is also you're going to set what the slow parts of the fight are. So slow parts is where basically after a hit, you need to focus on particular way in which the character is hurt or a character needs a breather. The slow parts can also be where the story beats within a fight take place, where you can highlight the emotions of her character. So slow parts, emotions, reactions, and of course, as I said, story beats. Again, put them at any specific points that you want to put them. Okay, so let's say this and this here become our flashy moves. Okay, and this and this, they end up going to the slow parts. And before you know it, you would have created a timeline which not only has all the moves and all the flow that you want in your fight, but you would have done it in the easiest way possible. This is also a very great exercise in improving your creativity, because every time you would want to add different kind of unique details to it, and you will want to play around with the speed and intensity of the fight. Not just that, but this is also a great exercise in bridging the gap between your larger than life and untethered ideas during the conceptualization phase and the current skills and resources that you have. It helps you understand which skills and resources you lack and makes you work towards getting them for future projects as well. And not just that, again, the creativity aspect improves here, because you will want to create your fight scene the way you had thought of, and to do that, when you don't have the skills and when you don't have the resources that you actually want for it, you're going to learn to improvise and you're going to be resourceful.
If you want to improve your creativity, the best way is to do the things that activate the right side of your brain. And martial arts and flow arts are some of the best to do so. You can use shadow fighting, which is performing your fight moves while imagining an opponent. The movements remove a lot of deep tensions from the fascia and the joints, and the visualization of the opponent allows for the body to flow as it wants, and don't try to come up with any move. Let your limbs go where they want to, but with complete awareness and control of your balance and the space around you. We use the slow movements of shadow fighting also as meditative movements, and to clear the noise in our minds. Those who have a hard time sitting for a meditation can feel uneasy sitting for long. They can do this instead to clear their minds, and this is a great workout too. Next, based on the tone of the fight design, find the right people to work with. As a beginner on a budget, you may or may not have access to skill and experienced people. Here is where the first important step plays a role, and why you should design the moves in later stages. If you are working with friends or beginners, it is always better to do a performance or ability check. Take them through a series of movements your fight design could have, like a series of kicks or punches or rolls, takedowns, joint locks. See how comfortably they can perform these moves, and once you find a sweet spot for their performance, involve them in the choreography. Ability check and choreography involvement builds a deep level of trust between you and the cast crew member. They see the extra care you put in making sure that they aren't pushed beyond their limits. Plus, safety should always come first. You always have chances to improve when you are healthy and safe. Like, for example, to do this bit wherein I'm getting put down with I'm getting overwhelmed with the strikes and punches and kicks, all that sort of stuff. We had done ability check of what the max speed is, or what is the range. Okay, and this helped us to maintain a safe distance, and we could strike with force whenever it was needed without getting hurt.
Once your flow is set and your ability checks are completed, the next thing is to choreographing the fight scene. Make sure that your performers are comfortable with each other, that they understand each other's body responses. This is essential to build trust and make sure that the fight goes safely and without any unnecessary accidents. To do this, we teach our performers to soften on impact while training with each other. We ask them to deliberately hit and push each other in a safe and controlled manner. And the person who's going to take the hits, we teach them specifically how to breathe in the right way and soften their muscles, so that when they get hit, they actually don't have any injuries whatsoever. This is a technique that is actually seen in many martial arts all across the world, including quite a few martial arts in India as well. But probably the most notable one that you can easily find on the internet as well is this martial art called Systema, wherein the base principle is to not hold any resistance or not hold any tension in the body. This kind of training is extremely important because no matter what kind of impact you take, be it a fall, be it a hit, that you don't see coming, uh, because sometimes you're going to move in certain ways and a hit might come before you're able to adjust your eyes in that particular angle, and the hit might come there. So you should be able to soften on impact. You should be able to get out of that situation, get out of that fall, get out of that hit without any injuries. So this is why we practice in this particular technique a lot of the times, and this is something that I have even taught to hundreds of people when I've taught them self-defense as well. Softening on impact is not just an exercise in injury prevention, but it also helps to remove a lot of stress and excess fears from the body, because every fear and every stress manifests as a physical tension in the body or a physical chronic pain in the body. And learning how to move those areas, or learning how to soften those areas on impact, or with external resistance, is actually very good for you to remove all of those tensions from the fascia and the joints in your body. Based on the flow that you designed and the fight moves that you choreographed, break the fight down into smaller segments and have your performers practice them over and over. It doesn't matter how many times you make them practice, but make sure it is enough that it goes into their muscle memory, it goes into their mind that they have to move in a particular way. What this does is it helps them to move in a very specific manner when the fight happens, and the chances of injuries or the chances of screwing up go down drastically. And if they have practiced softening on impact a lot of times, then even the rare error is not going to do any harm to them. Let your performers get comfortable with all the different moves, and let them start slow and build up the intensity as they see fit. Remember, slow is smooth and smooth is fast, which essentially means if you can do it slow, you're going to build your smoothness, and if you're smooth in your actions, then you're going to be able to do them fast without any problem. As you practice the choreography, you can work with your camera person at the same time and start to decide your framing, your angles, and the camera movement. Then all that is left is to hit record and go over the shots again and again multiple times till you get enough of good to great shots that you can edit together and complete your fight scene. A quick tip for camera work: sometimes following the actions of the performers is going to add an exciting take to your shots. Here's an example. Here, the takedown happens where the camera doesn't follow the movement of the actors, and in the second shot, you can see that because the camera goes along with the actors, it adds to the intensity of this particular takedown. 101. If your performers are not highly trained in contact choreography, please make sure that they don't end up hitting each other just to get good shots of the camera. Instead, use the technique called stacking, which is nothing but angling yourself from the camera in the right way, so that even if there's a distance between your punch or your kick and the receptor or the person receiving the kick, the camera is going to register it as a hit. This is a shot without stacking, and now this is a shot with stacking. And of course, stacking is not good enough if the receptor is not going to sell the hit. So if you're going to get hit on the face, you have to sell it that you have been hit in the face. Otherwise, no amount of stacking is going to help.
Now, despite following all these tips, unforeseen circumstances can crash the party. Frustrations over scheduling issues, someone dropping out due to the other commitments, performers not doing well on particular day, a pandemic locking down you at the moment's notice. But don't let these things put your enthusiasm down. Each of these stages are not just to make action short films, but also to deal with variables that aren't in your favor. It goes back to the beginning. If the concept sings to your heart, you will know how to adapt, when to speed things up, when to slow down, etc. If you learn to shadow fight with meditative movements and muscle relaxing exercises, your frustration would start to subside faster. And if your communication and chemistry with your team is great, they will always have your back. Just as we were halfway through our choreography phase, half of our performers got stuck in lockdowns in their areas, and suddenly we didn't have people to shoot specific scenes with. Even Saurabh Society had a lockdown, which meant the lawn locations we had decided on were no more an option. At barely 2 to 3 days before citywide lockdown could take place, and we made the best use of it to get the fight shot at friend's house. And instead of finishing up the short film in haste, we decided to create a previs of the first few minutes of the film. Previs is basically a raw shots strung together with camera work, similar to how the final scenes would come out. It acts as a representation of the idea to be finally filmed, with room for some changes.
And of course, just have fun with this entire process. If things get screwed up, they get screwed up. You just get back up and you move on. You get back out there and you start doing your thing again. No harm done. Here's the previs for the showcase.
No.
Don't use shadow fighting to relieve your frustration. Use it to face your inner demons. Focus on how each fear makes you feel. Then manifest an opponent that has the exact characteristics associated with that fear. He will hit you and cause you pain exactly as the fear does. This is the best way to be able to face these fears and attack back. Once the lockdown lifts, we are going to start our shoot back up. Our short film, the behind the scenes look, as well as a deep dive into the breakdown of all the different deep themes that we have integrated into this concept, is something that we are going to have up on our channel, which is Flow Arts and Fight Craft. You should have a link of the channel in the description below. If you're interested in something like this, please give us a follow. Please enjoy the rest of the workshops here. There are some amazing people with great skills that have taken the time to teach you all the different skill sets that they have. So I really hope that you enjoy all of them, and please give them all a follow as well, and show them your love. And if you can, please donate to AFSP. You never know who out there could need your help and how much they are going to appreciate it. With that, we take your leave. Bye bye.